Good morning. Hi, I'm Louisa.
Hi, I'm Paul. We're from Lioncrest Education.
And today we're going to walk you through the CSI Literacy kits. We're going to have a look at what's inside and how you can use it in your classroom. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually share my screen. So we'll go through a PowerPoint presentation with you to look at the components. The CSI Literacy kits is one part of the component of the CSI Literacy program. This is what we're going to focus on today for you. The CSI Literacy kits. CSI Literacy stands for Comprehension Strategy Instruction. And these resources are designed to teach students comprehension strategies, look at vocab, oral language, writing and fluency. There are 3 kits that support the primary years, and yellow, aqua and purple, and they're appropriate for roughly years 3 to 4, 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. Bearing in mind that some schools in high schools have purchased the yellow kit to use with their special needs students. The kits require minimal preparation and contains everything you need to develop an engaging, inspiring, interactive, collaborative and inclusive learning and teaching atmosphere in your classroom. There are 7 strategies that the literacy kits focus on, and there is repeated practice for each of those strategies, which we'll go into more detail in a moment. How it works. There is the gradual release of responsibility model. So the literacy pedagogy is based on the 3 steps metacognitive learning model. First, teachers read aloud a digital text and model their own use of the comprehension strategies, facilitating a whole class discussion. Students then work cooperatively using a different text to apply this modelled learning and then independently reflect on their thinking and strategy use. Let's have a look and see what's inside the literacy kits, and we'll go through each of the components individually. So the first one is the shared and modelled reading book. Now, Paul is actually holding up a sample. You might see that there is a spiral bound, so it's easy for the teachers to use and to open up and have them sitting on their lap. Now, the idea of this one is it has all the text that the student needs to do a modelled text. Just going to have a look. So it starts off with introductory text. So it's an introductory lessons on how the teachers would talk about comprehension strategies. What is comprehension strategies and how can they think about what their information they need to get from the texts. Then also in the model text, it has a sample of each of the strategies. Now there are 5 samples for each of these strategies, and there are 10 texts for monitoring comprehension and repairing understanding. So this gives you a bit of an idea of the variety of text. They cover fiction and non-fiction, and also different text types, and also covers different subject areas. So you have your literacy type text. English covers English, it covers maths, it covers science, and also social studies type topics as well. So it's quite broad and varied. So they're all highly engaging texts from across the curriculum. And you'll also notice that they are authentic texts. So they all have the source of where they've been taken from. So they're not written for the program, they use authentic texts throughout. We'll go back. We now have the next component in the literacy kit is the lesson plan book. The lesson plan book, there is one in the kit. Paul is holding it up again. Thank you, Paul. And in this kit, it has 45 lessons for modelled instruction and comprehension, vocab and fluency. Each lesson includes writing activities and thumbnails of the text and the teaching points related to those text features. So let's have a look inside this resource. So here we have a sample text. So this text is taken from the model text. Thank you, Paul. Yep. And you can see that around the text, it shows you the call outs. So at a glance, this is what the teacher would have on their lap as they're doing the modeled text. It has all your key points to highlight for that particular text. It also gives you your lesson focus. It has a variety of text types and an explanation of what that text type is. Again, your lesson focus and information of what you need to do before you begin the lesson. So it's very, very simple and easy to follow through. You've got your prior to the reading, you're interacting with the text, your reflection, and then it ends up with a writing activity. You'll notice the little hats, that's your teacher instruction, and that's your student response. So it goes through, so this here, step by step, is your modelled lesson. So it's very explicit on what you need to follow through. This is part of the lesson plan book. Also in the lesson plan book, there's a huge range of support material as well on top of these resources. So you have teacher and student assessment. You've got an implementation schedule option. Paul, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, the lesson book suggests using an intensive approach for schools as a way of implementing the program. Otherwise, there's an alternative approach that the schools can use.
Okay, so it can be used for short term for the first term, or it can be used over 5 terms as well, over the full year, I should say. And just remembering that there are 5 different texts to do the model for each of the strategies. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next resource is the cooperative learning activities. So this one, in this resources, there are 15 books with 40 short texts for the students to work cooperatively with. And again, Paul is holding the sample up. The idea is that the students work in pairs to work through the text. There is also a little strategy prompt in the front of the book and at the back of the book, so the students can always think about the strategies that they are using. So this one is all about drawing inferences, but the other ones are there to support them as well. Now, it's a short text, it's an authentic text, and it guides the students the before, the during, and the after of reading the text. You'll notice here it also has a little music note and a CD. That means that there is an audio, that there is audio support with these ones, with each of the student text. Now in the kit there are 2 CDs. You can also have them as an MP3 file, but also these ones are on the cloud, which we'll go into more detail later. I'll actually show you these texts and the audio of these texts. At the end of their activity, there is a graphic organizer that then they need to go to their reflection journal, and that's the next component of the resource. So we've moved on to the reflection journal. There is 1 sample reflection journal in the kit, and Paul is holding it up again. Thank you, Paul. There is also, when you purchase a kit, you also have access to 30 reflection journals online. So the students can actually use them online and keep adding to them. So you actually can keep your one as a sample, or you can buy multiples of these ones if you wanted the students to work in the paper copy. So whichever option you choose. And let's have a little look at the samples. So in the reflection journal, you'll have a demonstration, a sample of how they can fill in a model for them to fill in for each of the strategies. You'll then have blank forms for them to fill in. Now, these ones can be used with any text, not just the CSI texts. And there's also opportunity for them to record on the strategies that help them. And there's a lot of other information in there as well. This is just a quick snapshot. For each text, they then also have a graphic organizer. So they're recording their thoughts and how their response to the text. Towards the end of the book, there's also a pupil assessment rubric where they can then select how they're performing. So it's self-assessment for the students in regards to the comprehension strategies and their understanding of those strategies. The final component in the resource kit is the highlighter and the transparencies. Now there are 15 of those. The idea is that the students, thank you, Paul, he's holding them up. They come in a plastic sleeve. The idea is that the students use those transparencies to place them on top of the cooperative learning activities, so that when they're looking at the text, when they're working with the text, and I'll just go back to that one, they put the transparency on top, and then they can highlight their responses and their findings and write notes on there as well, without writing on the actual cooperative learning activity book. So these books can be used year after year. So it's not just a one-off. So that's the transparencies. So they are all the components that are in each of the kits. We've actually focused on the yellow kit, which is the first kit. And if we have a look now, a summary basically, is we're looking at the 3 steps again. So your shared reading. So your shared and your modelled reading is done through your interactive whiteboard. So you have all of those texts online and the teacher lesson plan book, which gives you step-by-step guide on how to teach that lesson, your modelled lesson. Step 2 is your cooperative learning, where the students go into their cooperative journals. Have a look, Paul is holding that one up. And remember, there were 15 of those in the kit. So it's really designed 1 between 2 in the class to work cooperatively. Thank you, Paul. And the 3rd step is the independent reflection, where they work in the student journal, in the reflection journal. And again, that one is online. So thank you, Paul. So there are all the components in the resource kit and basically how very quickly you can use them. I now go to the next screen, which basically summarises. So the other important thing is to know that the literacy kits support teachers as well as students. Everything is in the kit, and it also provides the students with engaging text and makes them capable readers and detectives, because they are actually analysing the texts that are presented to them. So all of the resources that are in the modelled text are also online. And if you actually want to have a closer look at some of the resources that we have to see how this resource can be used in a classroom, or how it is used in a classroom, I should say, go to our website and have a look at using CSI Literacy in a digital classroom. This is actually a very practical demonstration of a teacher using the resources, and you can see how it very simply is a practical and easy to use resources, and highly engaging as well. That's just one of the resources we have. So please visit our website, go to the CSI Literacy component, and you'll find all the support material there. What I'd like to do now is to, I apologise, what I'd like to do now is to actually go through and go to the cloud, the literacy cloud. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment, and while I move over to the next component. And we're going to now go to the literacy cloud. Okay, so sorry, just bear with me. Okay, so here we have the literacy cloud set up. So the first thing you need to do is to log in as the teacher. So when you purchase a CSI kit, you will have access to that on the cloud. So the literacy cloud is you'll be given the link and the password for the administrator. The administrator then allocates the passwords to teachers. So every teacher, every class really has access to it. So it has here, you have information for the administrator and information here which you can download for the teacher on how to use the CSI cloud. I'm going to log in as the teacher. And here we are. So first of all, what you'll notice is a huge range of resources here, but these are all the resources that are available through the CSI Literacy Cloud. Now, if you purchase a yellow kit, you'll only have access to that yellow kit. You won't have access to any of these other resources. But I have them here just to as my reference as well. So we're going to go into the CSI kits, but before we even do that, you have a look here and it has the how-to videos. That's the very first thing you need to look at, because here it shows you how to log into the Literacy Cloud, how to set up a class on your cloud, how to assign resources to your students, how to click and edit your students' reflection journals, and how to look at student reports. So very simple, very short and quick videos on how to support you. So I'm going to go back now to view the resources. This is our setup screen. And now we're going to go into the CSI Literacy Kits. So the CSI Literacy Kits, because I have access to everything, I have all of them here. These are the modelled text, the shared and modelled text. I'm going to go into the open one. So if I was going to do a modelled text, I can do I can select from any of these. I'm going to go into the making connections, I should say. And these are my 5 sample texts. And these are exactly the same ones that are in the shared and modelled text, which Paul is holding up for us now. Exactly, thank you. So if you were having 1 or 2 students, you could use the book, but if you were using a whole class, this is where you would go to. So I'm going to select What's Your Game as our first one, and the text comes up. So it's nice and big, very clear. Now at the bottom, you'll have your tools, which you can use. First thing I would do is use the masking tool. So I would close that up. For let's talk about what's your game, what could this text be about? So we're doing a predicting and we're asking questions. So let's think about what your game is. You can then extend that to let's talk about the first, the introduction. You can see that there are a word that is bolded. What does that mean? If I put my cursor over it, I can actually click on that and it will give me the definition of that. So that's inbuilt throughout the entire range of texts as well. The other thing that I can do, I can actually add a little note. I'm going to type a little note here and we can do a brainstorming and we can look at adding information that we want to add. So let's see, what are your favorite sports? So we can add them here. It might be tennis. It might be swimming. It might help if I spell it correctly. So it does, if you do make a mistake, it does let you know. Make this a little bit longer. Highlight it. And I can keep going so the children can, discussion point and add those points. Might be golf, something different, and so forth. Now you can either leave that there, you can move it around, or you can also, if you want to delete it, we can just click on the garbage and it will delete that text. Let's move on. So let's look at our text now. Now, if I want to just focus on this, I can also increase it and make the text a little bit, I need to delete that, apologies, and make the text a little bit bigger so we can focus on that page, that component. Okay, now that I have the text I'm going to focus on, as we read it through, I'm reading it, I'm actually modelling to the students. So what do I know about basketball? Do I know? Yes, I know about basketball. I've heard of basketball. I know what it is. It was an Olympic sport. I know about Olympic sports, and I've heard of Michael Jordan, and I know about other famous sports people. So you can highlight words, or you can underline them, or you can, draw a circle around them. Okay, this one might be Michael Jordan. How do I know that's Michael Jordan? Because he's very tall. Okay. Now you can actually save that as well, or you can then move on to the next part of the text. So there's other little, you can save it and you can print it out, so you can have information regarding to that text on how you actually used it. So we're going to just click out of that. And as I said, there are 5 different texts for each one. And again, for monitoring comprehension, there are 10 different texts. Just going to go into another one for you, just to show you a few other little features. When we go to this one, you'll notice that there is a little video camera here. That's because they have little, some of them have embedded videos in the actual text. So this one here is on an asteroid. So it's actually showing us an asteroid and an asteroid collision in action. So it clarifies the information in the text. And it's also, again, another point of discussion, and provides information for the students, a visual. And some of them have audio as well. So that's just another one. The other thing you might notice is here again, the words are in bold, and again, it gives you the definition of those words. So that is the sample text. So these are the ones that the teachers model. Once you have done your modelled, the students would then go back. So remember, I'm in here as a teacher. I'm going to go back. So these are the texts that I have to do my modelled. I'm going to log out. I'm going to now log in as a student. So I'm in student mode, but I need the student password. I'm going to go in as a student. Okay, so this student has all of these resources available to them. He has the yellow journal. So when I go into the student yellow journal, they can enter their name. So I've already done that. I'm going to the little toolbar here at the bottom. It just pops up, and I can either scroll through page by page and have a look, so the student can see where they're up to, or they can go straight to their page. And I think it's page 48 I'm going to go to. I'm going to enter, and I'm straight at that page. Okay, so this is a page that the student has already started working on, and here we can actually see a little note that I have put on there for them. So I've got, I've looked at their journal and I've responded to it. They can then either, they can delete that, or they can actually go and have a look and see what that was. That's a note. And I can keep adding notes under the teacher option as well. I'll show you how to do that later. So here's where the students can just then add their text, and it might be helpful if I have a look and see. So in the spaces provided, write one example of each kind of connection you made with the text. Okay, so I'm going to type in there, I play basketball. Okay, and then I can save my text. So that's a text connection that I have made. And I'll click OK, and then it's saved. Okay. So that's the student journal, and we can just flick through some of them. So there's a whole selection of them. Remember, they're organised in text, into the text strategies and so forth. So I'm going to deselect that one. And so I've been in the student journal. That's in the student journal. So yeah, apologies. I'm going to now scroll down and go into the audio kit. Now in the audio kit, I'm going to go to making connections. Now remember, we've looked at what's your game. This is the student one that is in their book. So it's on the same, this one's on the same topic. Sometimes they're a little bit different, but this one is on the same topic. So Paul, if you hold that one up for us, please. Okay, so they would look at that text in their cooperative learning book, and they would then listen to hear.
Page 3. What's your game? Cricket. Made in England. Players in white chasing a small, hard red ball around a large green field. Cricket is the most English of summer sports.
So it has the audio. It doesn't have the text because the idea is the students have the book in front of them. You can also get PDFs of the student text as well, if you wish, but you need to request those from Lioncrest Education. So these ones are all the audios for each of the text, and I'll just go into a different one for you just to give you an idea.
Page 6, meteoroids. A meteoroid is a piece of stone-like or metal-like debris that travels in outer space. Most meteoroids are no bigger than a pebble.
Okay, so you can actually see there's both male and female voice. The other thing that with the audio, it means that the text is accessible to all students. So even if they're not able to read, they can listen to it and contribute to the cooperative lesson. Okay. Okay, let's go back. So we have looked at, I'm back in the teacher mode here. So we have looked at the student reflection journal, and we've also looked at the CSI kit with the students. Now, when you're looking at a class, it's very, very easy to, I'm going to go back in as the teacher. Okay, it would help if I use the teacher password. So I have that here, so it might be quicker there. Okay. So I'm in here as the teacher again. So when I go to view class, I'll go in as teacher and log in there. Okay, so when you go into here, you can actually go into view class. And you can see all your students and their username and their password. So you can go into have a look at all their resources. That's the resources that are allocated. If I go back, I can go into view and edit. So here it gives them the choice of all the resources that your school would have purchased, and you just select the ones that are there. So if the student then moves into another year, I can allocate, if I have purchased the aqua kit, I can deselect the yellow and select the aqua kit, which then they would have the journal and also the CSI digital kits. Now, in regards to the CSI digital kits, they also have access, if you wish, to give them access to the student, the modelled text, the shared and modelled text that the teacher used in the beginning. You might want to get them to go through that text and go as a practice run of using that strategy. You can also allocate those too. And here is the audio for the students. So you can take resources on and off quite easily, and all I need to do is just save that. You can very, very easily go back to my class. If you have a new student, you just add a student very simply. You can delete students, very, very quick and easy to do. What I'd like to show you also is, which leads on from the CSI Literacy Kit, is the CSI Chapters. Now I'm going to go into resources and I'm in teacher mode. So I'm going to go into the CSI Chapters. Now the reason why I'm showing you these is because although they are an independent resource, they also do link in quite nicely to the CSI kits as an overall. So you can see they're yellow, blue and aqua. And they're designed to match the colour levels of the CSI kits. I'm just going to open one book. And this is a short chapter book. They are now available totally on the cloud. And again, you have the same tools at the bottom. And if we click through, they're quite engaging text. They have a variety of different information, so lots of visual literacy in there as well. And they also embed the videos. Not all of them, the majority of them also have a little video clip, again, to enhance the text and to demonstrate what they're talking about in the text. I'm going to stop that one. So the other important thing with this one here is I'm going to go into the teacher's resource guide, because to me this is an absolutely amazing resource where it's very simply, very simply allocates the information that the teachers would need to teach all of those. So they cover the yellow, aqua and purple text. There's a heap of frontline information in regards to the text, an overview of the chapters. They're also Fontes and Pinnell levels. So this is sideways a bit, I do apologise. You can print this out as well. And I'm going to just scroll through tips on using the ebooks. So it talks about the tools, and it talks about each of the strategies. So you've got, for each strategy, again, it walks you through, if teachers are unfamiliar with the comprehension strategies, on how to use specifically comprehension strategies. It also gives you a writing task as well, so for analysing the information that you've gathered. Now, the other thing, which you can use with any text as well, not just the CSI. So then I'm going to keep going through, and then here you get to the specific text. Just going to just stop on this one, which we had a little look at. What this resource does is bring all the strategies together. So with the CSI kits, you're targeting individual strategies. You're focusing on one strategy at a time. What these resources do is pull all those resources, all those strategies together. So very quickly you can see visualizing, again, visualizing, predicting, making questions, again, visualizing, text to self connections. So there's a whole range. Inferencing, this is just things that I'm just pulling out, drawing an inference, and looking at the illustrations, getting information from the illustration and synthesizing information. There was a number of strategies that are used throughout this text, and it's very simply done, and it actually tells you where to focus on for those strategies which best related to them. So that is the and so it's a double page spread, very easy to follow. And as I said, again, this can be printable. And again, there is a graphic organizer, which is towards the end of the book. If I can scroll down that far for you, just to show you a sample as well. So there we go. So there's a sample for the terrifying beasts of the deep. So there's a written component as well for the students to record. And again, this can be printed out as well. So that's in the teacher's guide. So very simple. So one teacher's guide covers all of those books. So that's the CSI chapters, which, as I said, are independent, but they do link in quite nicely as a support for the CSI literacy kits. And they are available, if I just change my screens now, they are available on the Literacy Cloud, which is what we call a Literacy Cloud portal. I'm hoping that you can see this quite clearly. So it's all the 25 chapter books, and it also includes Pathways and Private Eye. So it's two other resources which are fantastic resources, but I won't go into detail of those now. But for $5 a student, it's a really, really great deal. Or for a larger school, $500 for the whole school. For the year. So really, really great. Have a little look at that on our website again. So in summary, we've had a look at the CSI literacy kits and the CSI chapters briefly. So this is a complete program that can support you and your students in looking at comprehension strategies in more detail and building on the development of literacy in your students. So if there is anything else that you would need in regards to these resources, by all means contact myself or any of our consultants in the country, or contact Lioncrest, or visit our website for more information and more videos. I hope this has helped you in understanding what's in the kit and how it can be used. And in summary, Paul, is there anything that you would like to add that I haven't quite covered?
No, that's great, Louisa. Thanks. It's very helpful for me as well. So thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. As I said, we look forward to hearing from you if you have any other inquiries. All right. Thank you for your time.